Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I think I have some good news about a video from Lefty Philosophy. It's called Objectivism, Ethics, Metaphysics, and Epistemology, Ayn Rand. This is attempt number 2 at doing this video. The first one ended up being really long, and I didn't say a lot. This is 21 minutes here, and that video ended up being 27 minutes. And I didn't say a lot in it. It's about 5 minutes of stuff at the most. And I said, I can cut this down, way down, because he says almost nothing in here. And I noticed by the time I got clear to the end, I said, well, interestingly, the only place that there are problems is where he gives his own view, where he has to like stitch things together, or where he thinks he has to stitch things together. He believes, for example, that he needs to clarify axioms, but because it seems like Ayn Rand is making this extremely strong claim about axioms, and she's not. She's actually just using it as a premise for her system. She builds her whole system from it. She's not actually claiming that the axioms are true. She's just using them as a premise. Okay? That's at 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
The process of any attempt to deny it, end quote. This axiom doesn't have to be true. She refers to it as the premise in which position that defeats its opponents by the fact that they have to accept it and use it in the process of any attempt to deny it, end quote. This axiom doesn't have to be true.
This axiom doesn't have to be true. The axiom that... And he just said it. The words came out of his mouth. Okay, let me just rewind and just imagine that he's about to say that this axiom doesn't have to be true. Imagine he's about to say that. And here are these words that are coming before.
Really contained in all others, whether any particular speaker
I'm going to go back a little further. I'm going to go back plenty.
With the creation and dissemination of knowledge in particular areas of inquiry.
Okay.
Rand uses the word axiom in the sense that, quote, a statement that identifies the base of knowledge, and any further statement pertaining to that knowledge, a statement necessarily contained in all others, whether any particular speaker chooses to identify it or not.
So, it's in the base of knowledge, and it's in every statement of knowledge. It's in any claim of knowledge. It's in every statement any speaker makes. But
an axiom is a proposition that defeats its opponents by the fact that they have to accept it and use it in the process of any attempt to deny it.
Okay, it's the base of all knowledge. You have to use it. Everybody who uses it has to accept it. If they try not to accept it, they're using it. It's the base of knowledge. Everyone accepts it. As what? Everyone accepts it as what? You have to accept it as what?
Well, this axiom doesn't have to be true.
What? What were we just discussing then? What were we just discussing then? The axiom is the base of knowledge. It is true. Everybody accepts it. Anybody who opens their mouth accepts that it's true. Even if they try to argue it against it, they accept it's true. Then, when he's finished saying that, he says, but this axiom doesn't have to be true. What? So this tells you what. Now, up to here, he was just quoting sources and everything was going fine. He just thought he needed to clarify that for his audience. Listen, audience, don't misunderstand Ayn Rand. She's not making the completely insane claim that she knows something true about reality. That would be insane. She's simply using axioms as a premise. They don't have to be true. Wow, what a knucklehead.
She refers to it as the premise in which everything is built upon.
It's just the premise. Doesn't have to be true. The idea that there's something, don't worry about that. That's too much to argue about, huh? Apparently, for his pea brain. The fact that you have a brain and you're looking at something, can't argue about that. Too much to argue about. let's just admit that she used it as a premise. He's like, let's just say she used it as a premise and she didn't say it was actually true. And then we'll be out of all the trouble that you think that you're in by claiming that it's true that we exist and have a mind.
In Rand's view, there are only 3 axioms. These are existence, identity, and consciousness.
In what sense do those not have to be true? Now, he's back to quoting now. When he thinks for himself, for some reason, or doesn't think for himself, when he goes into parrot mode and starts parroting what he's been heard and taught, then he really goes off the rails, eh? But now he's back to just quoting stuff, and he'll be okay for a little while until he gets to the ethics and the selfishness bit. Now, the thing he does in there and says isn't really clear enough to worry too much about. I'm not going to bother you with it. But he does try to clarify for the audience, yeah, Ayn Rand does seem like she's being selfish here, but her ethics view rational self-interest, blah, 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 blah. Trying to not scare the audience. Don't worry, she's not advocating selfishness. Well, listen, Lefty philosophy, I have news for you. Ayn Rand advocated selfishness. Now, selfishness doesn't mean hurt other people. That's the stupidest idea anybody's advocated this week. You're probably an advocate of that idea. To be selfish means to hurt others. Why? Self-ish. For me. What does that have to do with other people? It has nothing to do with other people. You've been brainwashed. Brainwashed. Axioms are true. Everybody who opens their mouth accepts that they're true. If they try to deny that they're true, they accept they're true. And the very next sentence you say, these don't have to be true. I don't know what to do for you. Are you hopeless?